Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Ohio.
Well, the Reds have enjoyed the comforts of home coming out of the All-Star break, but this afternoon they'll wrap up a 10-game homestand, and they can do so with a series victory over the Phillies. All the action's coming up on Fox Sports Ohio. And hi again, everyone, with Chris Welsh, Jim Day. Thanks for taking part of your day to join us here for Reds baseball. And Chris, I don't know what it is about first-place teams in the Reds lately, but they've had success. They're going after their third straight victory over the National League East leading Philadelphia Phillies.
It really is amazing, Jim. You know, they got beat up pretty badly on Thursday night, but they come right back on Friday. And, of course, who answers the bell right away? It is Eugenio Suarez. I mean, this guy has made history this year with the kind of home run binge he's been on. 5 straight games they hit home runs. That was awesome. How about Mason Williams and his inaugural hit with the Reds?
And yesterday it was Matt Harvey. One pitch did him in, and that was a 2-run home run. Outside of that, he was outstanding.
This is a ball club that is not intimidated by anybody, obviously. I mean, the Phillies are 12 games over 500. They're on a roll here. They're in the lead in the National League East. But the Reds are not going to roll over for anybody. If they can get good starting pitching, this is a ball club that really, I think it scares a lot of other ball clubs. This is not a team you want to play right now, the Reds, that is.
Votto with that go-ahead RBI in the 6th. Reds played add-on, and 4-game sets are the hardest to win. We know that, and they're giving the ball to Luis Castillo, and they hope he can duplicate his last time out.
Well, if they do win, they will have won 8 out of the last 11 series that they've played. They're 7-2-1 right now. And Castillo, hey, his last couple of starts out there, he's pitched pretty well. Both of those against the St. Louis Cardinals. He's only given up 3 earned runs over his last couple of starts. Staying around the plate, that is the biggest thing for Castillo, because you know his stuff is plenty good enough.
His counterpart today will be Zach Eflin. What can you tell us about Eflin?
Well, he missed 2 weeks because he had a blister and then the All-Star break, and when he came back his last start, it was the worst start of his career. So anytime that happens to a pitcher who's having a pretty good year, I'm a little bit worried, because he's got a chance now to do a bullpen, get back into a groove, and to see the Eflin that we expected to see here earlier this year. He's won 7 games, lost 2, and he's a guy that's a pretty good pitcher.
Tough assignment. We'll see how it unfolds. The finale of a 4-game set, Reds and Phillies. And coming up, Penned Up. Talking a bully of a pen next.
On Fox Sports Ohio, brought to you by Chevy. Check out our award-winning lineup only at your Tri-State Chevy dealer. By Skyline Chili, feeling good. It's Skyline time. And by GMC.
Hey guys, meteorologist Brandon Orr here from Local 12. Not a bad forecast at all. Again today, we couldn't ask for better weather this weekend for Reds baseball. Temperatures below average, 82 degrees, and notice partly cloudy with no chance of rain. There is a big storm system heading our way here in Cincinnati, but I think that'll bring showers after sunset tonight. So we're looking pretty good for today's game. Enjoy it.
Welcome back inside the ballpark. I'm Brian Giesenslaw. The Reds play for a series win here this afternoon against the Phillies. And in the series, if you want to look for an MVP so far, you can make a strong case for the Reds bullpen. They have worked a lot, and they've worked very well. The Reds bullpen is our IGS, bringing the energy. The Reds have played 9 games since the All-Star break, and usually on most days, you've seen one or both Jared Hughes and David Hernandez, and they've been outstanding. Raisel Iglesias continues to be the anchor at the back of the bullpen, but Hughes picked up his 7th save last night, and he's worked 13 times more than 1 inning. David Hernandez has done 12 appearances of more than 1 inning. They will work every night. They'll work on consecutive days, and it's one of the reasons that Jim Riggleman has been able to get through this series against the Phillies with some shorter starts, because he has that kind of faith and that kind of confidence in the back end of his bullpen. When we come back to Great American Ballpark, Reds take the field for the first pitch. Jim and Chris standing by with the call of the final game of this 10-game homestand.
Presented by authority of the Cincinnati Reds, it may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
A mixture of sunshine and clouds this afternoon, and boy, have we been blessed with good weather here over the latter part of this homestand. And this is one of the coolest things that we see on Sunday games, and that being the youngsters out on the field, baseball in hand, Sharpie in hand, and the Red starters, when they go out onto the field, each one has a youngster to greet. This is as cool as it gets, especially for these young kids. And you can see that it'll bring a lot of smiles to faces. And how about a signature from Eugenio Suarez? A lifetime memory right here. Luis Castillo takes the mound. 25 years of age, 22nd start of the season, 37th of his major league career, and it'll be the second time that he'll face the Phillies this season.
Well, he was quite sharp in his first time out since the All-Star break. Castillo was a little bit more around the plate, only walked one batter. He's a guy that Jim really mixed up his four-seam fastball and his sinker more than he did the previous couple of starts. That sinker is very good, but his four-seamer is one that really sets up that changeup. His changeup is excellent, goes down and away. His slider is getting better. But for the most part, Castillo and the confidence that he has in attacking the strike zone is probably the biggest step that he still needs to take as he goes forward and becomes a better and better pitcher.
Well, let's check out the lineup he'll face today. Here's how Gabe Kapler will send him out as you look at Castillo's record, 5-8, 5.30 ERA overall. A little flip-flopping today for Kapler as Carlos Santana will lead off here today. The newly acquired Asdrubal Cabrera batting second. 3, 4, and 5. Odubel Herrera, Rhys Hoskins, the hot-hitting Hoskins, and Nick Williams. Michael Franco at third base. Scott Kingery back in there at short. Jorge Alfaro will be hanging the signs for pitcher Zach Eflin.
You know, I thought it was very interesting the way that Castillo was handled by Jim Riggleman his last time out. He had only thrown 84 pitches, 5 in the third inning, but he ran into problems in the 6th inning. And just like that, Riggleman came out to get him. He's done the same thing with Escafani, did the same thing with Matt Harvey. So I think it's a message by Riggleman to say, all right, you know, I think you guys can get through the third time through the order, but you have to show me in order for me to leave you in there. Because right now my bullpen's been so good. I want to win ball games. You want to stay in the game. Don't run into problems in the 6th.
Earlier on this homestand, he in fact called in the starters and basically said, I'm managing for the 25, not for the 1. If I come get you, don't have a problem with me. As you said, you've got to prove that you can get through those innings. And with this bullpen performing as they have, Jim Riggleman's out to win ball games as we are set to go. Carlos Santana, switch hitter, will bat from the left-hand side. Castillo into his windup. And this game is underway. 82-degree game time temperature. Pleasant day. 1-0. In for a strike. Third start this season for Santana batting leadoff. 2 for 7 in the first 2 games and has scored a run and an RBI. And a .375 on base percentage as a leadoff guy. And Santana, like this entire Phillies team, will work the count. He has 80 walks on the season. Third best in the National League. Third only to Votto and Bryce Harper. And this Phillies team, well, they lead the league in most pitches per at bat. Their goal, their MO, have the starter throw as many pitches as he can and get him out of the game. Swing and a miss, and a good start for Luis Castillo.
Now, good start on that bread and butter pitch of his, and that's a changeup. Comes in there at 86 miles an hour. So after seeing mid-90s, I mean, if you can place it on the outer part of the plate right there, chances are the hitter's going to be in front of it a little bit. May get bad contact. That time he gets a swing and a miss.
And now he'll do battle with Asdrubal Cabrera, who made his Phillies debut here yesterday. Came over in a trade with the Mets as the Phillies trying to play add-on as they come into today's play 58-46 after losing 2 straight to the Reds. First pitch swinging and a ball hit well, but Hamilton has room, 2 outs. And here's your 4 defensive lineup for the Reds. And correction, I'm so used to Billy Hamilton being in center field. He has the day off. Duvall, Mason Williams in center field. Phillip Ervin in right. And around the infield, Suarez, Peraza, Gennett, Votto, and Kurt Casale hanging the signs here today. And for Mason Williams at AAA Louisville, played primarily in center field. And it's his 16th appearance in the major leagues over 4 seasons. He played parts of 3 seasons with the New York Yankees. Got a couple starts in right, and now his more familiar position in center. Count is 2-0 to Odubel Herrera.
Good looking young hitter for Herrera. It's really his fourth full season in the major leagues. Batting average is down a little bit. Power numbers are up this year. But boy, he's got a lot of movement with his lower half in the batter's box, doesn't he? Watch where he starts, wide open. Then he brings his leg almost closed, then brings his knee up a little bit. And it's all about the timing of trying to get that foot down just in time.
Oh, for his last 5 and a line drive into left center field. That will be a 2-out base hit. Phillies have their first base runner.
Give him the green light on a 3-0 pitch.
And that'll bring up Rhys Hoskins. Hoskins, first 3 games of this series was in the 2 spot. And he's been hitting for power and now hitting cleanup here today. This series, a cool .429 batter, 6 for 14, 4 runs, 5 RBIs, 3 home runs, and a double. That's a big old ouch. And also riding an 8-game hitting streak. 2-run home run yesterday off of Matt Harvey, and it was the only damage they could do to Harvey. Harvey got out of the gates terrific fashion in 6 games versus the Reds. There you see the numbers overall. So Castillo will have to be careful with the hot hitting Hoskins. 2 balls and no strikes. Hoskins 21 home runs, 8th best in the National League, 70 RBIs, 5th best, and a team leading 24 doubles. 2-0. Breaking ball floats in for a strike.
Yeah, Hoskins has become just about an everyday word there in Philadelphia, even though he didn't break onto the scene last year until August. And he went on some kind of a historic 50-game stretch. He had 18 home runs, drove in 48 runs. Basically unmatched by any other rookie effort in MLB history. And he's kind of continued that pace. He's a little bit off I think on the DL for a short period of time.
Yeah, he fouled a ball off his face.
Yeah, that doesn't happen very often.
No. Two-1. Strike called.
I once saw Dave Parker hit himself in the head with a bat. I think it was Dave Parker. Nearly knocked himself out. Kind of a check swing, you know, where you bring the head of the bat back and it knocks the brim of the helmet off, and then next thing you know, you're making solid contact with your dome. Of course, because it was Parker, we didn't laugh.
I probably shouldn't laugh now either. Blocked by Casale. There goes the runner, and no throw. Casale did a nice job of keeping it in front of him, but heads up by Herrera, and he's on second base.
Well, it changes the at bat a little bit right here for Hoskins. I mean, now a little bloop into right field, just a squiver through the infield, scores a run and puts the Phillies ahead.
Payoff pitch. Way inside, and he walked him.
Really not a bad walk right there if you don't feel that great about pitching after Hoskins. I mean, he's their primary run producer. And not to take anything away from Nick Williams, but even though he's left-handed, I really think that because Luis Castillo's best off-speed pitch is that changeup, it actually has more effective against left-handers than it is right-handers.
And here's Nick Williams. In July, .317 batter. After hitting only .218 in June. And this month, as we close in on the end of the month, 5 home runs, 13 RBIs, and 11 runs scored. And Williams was part of that barrage in game 1 of this series, in which 3 players had 2 home runs apiece on Thursday night.
Yeah, they had 7 home runs overall, but they've only hit 2 in the last couple of games. So maybe their arms are tired.
It's 7 home runs, 6 of them solo shots, just 1 2-run home run on Thursday. And you know the old saying, if you're going to give up home runs, give up solo shots, unless of course you give up 6. And that's a problem. And for Williams, that was his first multi-home run game here on Thursday. 2-1. 2-2.
Phillies have a number of guys in their lineup with that kind of wide open, unusual stance as they get ready. I mean, by the time you get into your hitting position with your front foot down, I mean, everybody basically gets to the same spot. But how you get there, I mean, there's no, blueprint that you have to follow. Wide open stance there. You see how wide his stance is. He'll close it up and get that front foot towards home plate.
Swing and a miss.
There's a changeup.
A beauty. Castillo strands 2. Reds coming up. Coming up as we check out our Elk and Elk storylines for today's game. Reds 13-7 since June 21st versus first and second place teams. Check them out. 5-2 against the Cubs. Took 2 out of 3 from the then first place Atlanta Braves. Split with the Brewers. Took 2 out of 3 in Cleveland, and now have taken 2 out of the first 3 against the Phillies in this season, or in this series, I should say, as Jose Peraza steps in to lead them off. Gennett, Votto, Suarez, Mason Williams batting in the 5 spot again here today. Duvall, Phillip Ervin, Kurt Casale behind the plate. Castillo, pitcher spot is 9th here today. Peraza steps in as a .293 batter. That average just continues to climb. 5 home runs, 35 RBIs. And Jose has a 9-game hitting streak versus the Phillies. .351 average over that span, 4 doubles, a couple of RBIs, and a .395 on base percentage. He made an outstanding defensive play last night to turn a double play, which was one of the key plays of the game.
Well, the pitcher that Jose Peraza and the rest of the Reds will face today is Zach Eflin. Big, tall right-hander, 24 years old. He's a perfect example of why you have to be patient with young pitching.
Lazy fly ball towards the foul line, and making a nice running catch is Williams. Here's your 4 defensive lineup for the Phillies. Reese Hoskins in left, Odubel Herrera in center, the aforementioned Nick Williams. Franco Kingery back in there at shortstop. Cabrera, who started at short yesterday, playing second base. Carlos Santana at first, and Jorge Alfaro, the battery mate of Zach Eflin. I mentioned Eflin, a big, tall guy, 6'6", 215.
Originally drafted by the Padres in the first round out of high school in Florida. Now they brought him up to the big leagues, the Phillies did, and when he was 22 years old, maybe a little bit early. Gave him 11 starts a couple of years ago, had a very bad time of it. Last year, same thing, had a very rough time, earned run average around 6 something.
Right through his legs, but the Phillies have Gennett played perfectly. And Kingery right there to pick up the pieces. That'll wake you up. Hello.
So after winning only 4 and losing 10 in his first couple of seasons, Eflin comes back this year, and he's throwing the ball a little bit harder, about 2 ticks miles per hour wise on the fastball, and he's run himself up to a 7-win, 2-loss record so far. Very good earned run average of 3.4. And that's an easy 96 right there.
Very easy 96.
He really had a tough time out his last time. I think he only went about 3 innings, gave up a bunch of runs. He had 2 weeks off. Combination of having blister problems and the All-Star break together probably got him way out of sync.
That was 2 2/3, 5 hits, 3 earned runs. And no decision versus the Dodgers.
75 pitches in 2 2/3. That's working hard at it.
Yep. Votto, a 3-hit game here last night. First 3-hit game since June 24th versus the Cubs. And a check swing, and excuse me, and a comebacker. And a 1-2-3 first for Zach Eflin. We are scoreless, Reds and Phils. And more. RBI Baseball 18 is available now. Learn more at RBIGame.com. Rated E for everyone. Maikel Franco in the box. Franco, Kingery, Alfaro here in the top of the second. And Franco's another guy that has turned up the wick offensively in July. 308 hitter this month as you look at his overall numbers. And he's reached base safely in 18 of the 22 games this month in which he's appeared. 7 home runs in the month, 3 doubles, 14 RBIs, and he scored 12 runs. Here's a little looper that'll fall, and it's a leadoff hit for Franco. That's when baseball is tough.
You laugh about it when it falls in there on you. You don't laugh when you're a hitter and you hit a line drive right at somebody and everybody tells you, hey, hang with them, they all even out.
Yeah.
Because these are the ones you forget about. Unless, of course, you're Luis Castillo. And you think, well, that was a really good slider I just threw him, and I'm turning around, there he is at first base.
And the batter is Scott Kingery, who had the day off from the starting lineup yesterday. And it'll be interesting to see what the Phillies do as far as their rotation goes at shortstop and second base now that they've acquired Asdrubal Cabrera. Kingery, the rookie, playing shortstop today. Cabrera playing second, and one of the reasons they get Cabrera, obviously, a veteran presence, 2-time All-Star, and versatile. Give you good defense at short and second.
Well, Kingery is the up-and-comer, no question about that, but he's struggling a little bit batting average-wise. You see the .236 average, has 5 home runs, but he's got very good performance numbers in the minor leagues the last couple of years. AA and AAA last year, hit right around 300 or just above, had 26 home runs total in the minor leagues last season. So he's got some pop for a middle infielder.
One and two the count to Kingery. 23 years of age is Kingery. 5'10", 176. And there's a ball hammered to left center field, but Duvall is there and has room. And holding at first base is Herrera. Gave it a ride, did Kingery. In the end, allowed out.
Ball not exactly jumping here like we would normally see on a Sunday afternoon game at the very end of July. I mean, we're used to seeing balls just jumping right out of this ballpark. He got it right on the meat part of the bat, just maybe under it a little bit too much.
The way it sounded and the way it looked off the bat, you thought this was going to be a GABP home run, but as you can see from that camera angle, plenty of room for Duvall. And here is Jorge Alfaro, the 8 batter. Alfaro's a guy that will strike out, 103 of them. 9th most in the National League. Oh, 1 in the dirt. Nice pick by Casale. So the Reds trying to close out this 10-game homestand in fine fashion before heading on the road for a 3-city road trip. Off day / travel day tomorrow. Short flight to Detroit for 2. 4 in Washington, 3 in the Big Apple against the Mets.
I really like right now the way Castillo is adding a little bit, subtracting a little bit. You know, he's just not pumping fastball after fastball trying to throw it by these guys. I mean, this is the step that you take as a pitcher to learn how to pitch a little bit. You trust your stuff. You realize eventually you don't have to make a perfect pitch to get a hitter out. You just have to keep them off balance.
That top button open. Wonder if Matt Harvey's rubbing off. Although you have to have 2 buttons open. Matt Harvey got him to chase. And down goes Alfaro. 3rd strikeout for Castillo.
Really the best off-speed pitch for Castillo is that changeup, and there it is. He'll even throw it to right-handers. You know, a lot of times a right-hander on right-hander will throw a slider that goes down and away, but that pitch almost has a little tendency to go away from the hitter there and really got the catcher to chase one way out of the zone.
That pitch was so good it was a tough catch for Castillo. First pitch strike to the pitcher Zach Eflin, who does have a home run this season. Career 191 batter in his young career. But he's got a big old strike zone, standing 6'6". Castillo in the driver's seat here. No balls and 2 strikes.
Pickett, Wilson.
Tell you what. That was very subtle, but a backhand happened so fast. You're like, wow.
He'll change up in the dirt right there. No problem for Castillo.
That's a little Johnny Bench action right there. Bench just you make it a habit. Appeal down to first. No.
I stole that Pickett Wilson saying from Pete Rose. He used to say that when he was, well, when I played for him, he was player manager here of the Reds. And of course, back in those days, Wilson Pickett was still singing.
I was going to ask you, I've heard you say it before, so now we know.
That's the story.
Wilson Pickett, hit king.
I know a good line when I steal one.
A single to man left, scoreless. From Great American Ballpark. And those look to be good seats right there in the shade. These in the sunshine. And they're probably tweeting Chris Welsh as we speak. Because why not? Very active on.
That was a nice little event the Reds had before the game today. I believe they invited their season ticket holders out to kind of line the warning track all the way around the ballpark, and all the players went around and they had the picture taken, and some signed autographs, a lot of handshaking going on, and it was fun.
We do it every year, and it's one of the perks of being a season ticket holder. They do this every season, and all the players, the broadcasters, all went around the horn, and as you can see, even Joey Votto out there taking pictures, autographs. So part of the perks of being a Red season ticket holder, and we thank each and every one of them. Always good to look them in the eye and say thank you, have a few laughs. Suarez, Williams, Duvall here in the second against Eflin. And Suarez came up short in his bid to set a new team record with this home run in 6 consecutive games yesterday. But he tied the club record with 5 in a row. Foul tip into the mitt of Alfaro, and down goes Suarez. As you enjoy a Miller Lite, please have one for us. Look forward to the whole true moment later in today's game. And that'll bring up Mason Williams. Thursday, brought up from AAA Louisville when Jesse Winker went on the disabled list for season-ending shoulder surgery, which he'll have shortly. Started each of the last 2 games in right field and welcomed himself to the team in big fashion. His first hit, a 3-run home run, and it was a big one at that. Here on Friday night. Jim Riggleman made no bones about it. He wanted a left-handed bat to replace Winker, because the choices to replace Winker, Irvin, you got a right-handed bat in Herrera. Dixon has played the outfield as Williams goes down, but with Schebler on the mend and now Winker out, it's 2 big left-handed bats. If you're a right-handed pitcher, it's a tough lineup to face when you had Schebler and Winker in there, Votto and Gennett.
Exactly, and I think also the back end of the bullpen, most bullpens are built with a right-handed closer.
Yeah.
So you've got a chance in the 9th inning when you're seeing their best guy trying to close out a game, you're sending some left-handed hitters up there against them, and that always makes the right-handed closer's job just a little bit tougher.
Back-to-back punch-outs here for Eflin, and he goes to work against Duvall. Duvall likes to see the Phillies. 329 career average versus the Phillies. 14 RBIs, 15 runs scored, and 5 home runs.
Be interesting to see how the effect of now everyday playing time, no more an outfield, 4 spots for 3 positions rotation that he has to be patient with. Duvall's going to basically be playing every day. And we've seen him get hot like he did in the first half of last season, where he just really carried the ball club. Power numbers off the charts. Never really a high batting average guy, but will take a walk, but also mostly hit the ball out of the ballpark. I imagine he's green lighting right here on a 3-0.
Strike called.
Rio Leo.
Despite the low batting average of 205, he's 14th in the National League in RBIs, 61. And the Reds, in a blink of an eye, went from how are we going to get enough playing time for these 4 outfielders to all of a sudden we're thin in the outfield.
Well, didn't that same thing happen really with number of pitchers in the starting rotation coming out of spring training?
Yep. Payoff pitch. Fouled back.
Hey, one thing that Eflin does very well, he throws a lot of strikes for a young guy, 24 years old, big, tall guy at 6'6". Sometimes it's harder for those tall pitchers to kind of keep their mechanics in sync. But he's got a very simple delivery. Very slow, deliberate, not a lot of extra movement.
Eflin has faced 6 batters and retired them all. 2 innings in the books. night of their own at the ballpark. Enjoy dinner and drinks, meet Reds coaches, take swings in the batting cages like Joey Votto, gear up behind home plate like Tucker Barnhart, and more. Plus, this year, you'll get an exclusive Reds tote bag and infinity scarf. Sign up today at reds.com/baseball101. And I got to tell you, that there were a lot of laughs on that night. And it has been a terrific event for the Reds, and looking forward to this year's event again. Top of the order here in the third versus Luis Castillo. Santana, strikeout victim to begin the game, in a line drive right field. Ball was ripped for a leadoff single for Santana.
Yeah, this guy has always been able to hit. I mean, he came up as a catcher, injured himself early on at a play at the plate, but he is one that just answers the bell. I think for the last 5 or 6 seasons in a row, he's played at least 152 games. Switch hitter. Interesting choice, really, to put at the very top of the lineup. But I mean, the way the Phillies are playing this year, why would you second guess? And I can guarantee you one thing: that lineup with him at the top probably dictated, if not dictated, certainly strong suggestion coming from the front office, because the Phillies are married to analytics probably as much as any team out there.
Maybe more than any team out there, with Gabe Kapler now. Mason Williams going back and has room for out number 1, tagging up, at least bluffing a tag as Santana, and a nice throw in by Williams. 1 out.
Second fly ball to center field in a row for Cabrera.
And now that you add Cabrera to this lineup, he's a switch hitter. So we were speaking about how a lineup with a lot of lefties could be tough on a righty. And first part of this Phillies lineup loaded with guys that will hit from the left-hand side. Santana, Cabrera, here's Herrera. Hoskins, the lone righty in the top 5. Nick Williams, left-handed batter. And another big open stance guy. And you talked about it earlier, the timing of that front leg. Fooled him badly. Evens the count at 1-1.
Usually the bigger the swing and the more leg movement and footwork involved in it, you're going to have some more bat speed, and consequently when you hit it, it's going to be going a little bit farther. But boy, you can be really susceptible to adding a little bit and subtracting a little bit.
Jammed him. Gennett, second out.
Herrera really hardly even got out of the batter's box. Never did drop his bat. Which, by the way, is not illegal for a runner to run down the line with his bat in his hand. It's a myth if you think that you're automatically out if you touch first base with your bat. In fact, if you hit a double, you can take the bat all the way to second base. If you hit a home run, carry it all the way around. Nothing in the rule book against it.
I think I saw that somewhere recently on a post from baseballrulesacademy.com.
A lot of people will be fooled by that.
One 1-0 to Hoskins. Way out front.
You know, the difference I think that I'm seeing in Castillo here with that changeup is that he's throwing it in the zone. It used to be that he thought that it had to be a perfect spot on the corner, on the knees to be effective, but that ball basically right down the middle to Hoskins, and he was just had a mistimed swing.
Strike called right under the knees, and Hoskins a little conversation with the home plate umpire Nick Marley. Chris Guccione, the umpire at first. Bill Miller, your crew chief at second base. Alan Porter at third.
All right, so if you get a pitch down there, you know, it's probably in the head of Hoskins right now. Maybe you go a little bit lower because he's thinking, well, what is the bottom of the zone here?
Blocked, and there goes the runner. Throw down by Casale, and it's high into center field. And that's the second wild pitch of the game for Luis Castillo.
And both in the exact same spot. And there's really not a whole lot more that Casale could do with either of those pitches. You get your body out there, you tilt your upper torso forward a little bit so that when it hits you, it stays in front of you. Same spot Hoskins had found himself in the first inning.
And they walked him in that instance.
Yeah, they walked him on a 3-2 count, and then was able to strike out Nick Williams, a left-hander, in the on-deck circle. There's Williams.
So we'll see what Casale and Castillo have in store, and another 3-2 pitch to Rhys Hoskins. Pickoff play. Payoff pitch. And he went chasing, but Casale couldn't come up with it.
Well, we just really haven't seen any of these Phillies yet. Not to say it won't happen, but they are not reading Castillo's changeup at all. That was a stay alive swing there by Hoskins, and way out in front. Even if he did hit it on the square of the bat, the ball's not going anywhere. I mean, look at that swing. He's way out of balance. His torso's going one way, his butt's going another. It's when your heart is in it, but your body's not.
That's me every day. Like when Votto had me run the hill in spring training. My heart was in it, my body, nah.
Well, the good news, Jim Day, is that that hill will be there again.
Yeah.
Next February and March, right there in Goodyear, Arizona, waiting for you.
This time I won't pound a large coffee before, because I didn't know that we were doing it.
I thought it was a double wop wop.
I had like 15 minutes of notice. Swing and a miss. Castillo strikes out Hoskins, a big out for him. Middle of the third, scoreless. ballpark Friday, August 10th. Cheer on the Redlegs when they take on the Diamondbacks, Bally. Plus, stick around after the game for a spectacular fireworks show presented by Great American Insurance Group. For tickets, visit Reds.com. A pitcher's duel so far. Phillip Ervin will take his first at bat of the game. Ervin, Casale, Castillo here in the third against Zach Eflin. And Ervin, in his third stint with the big club this season, has come out of the gates nicely after the All-Star break. 8 for 21, 381 average. Grounder, and that's a fair ball down the left field line. Ervin on his horses around first base. Here he comes to second. Head first slide and a leadoff double.
Ervin gets a breaking ball right there, and just a little bouncer, but it finds a spot right inside the bag between he and the third baseman in the bag. Nice easy double for Phillip Ervin. Bottom of the order, finding the first base runner.
And the 8th batter is Kurt Casale.
Now, they're not going to bunt Casale, not with the pitcher in the on-deck circle, but Casale really, I mean, you still try to get that runner to third base. You hit the ball to the right side. If he gives you a pitch away, you just go ahead and take it that way, and maybe it falls in for a base hit. I mean, that's where Eflin's basically been pitching all the right-handed hitters anyway, down and away.
Casale acquired back on May 31st, making his 13th start here today. Showed good signs as a backup catcher. Big guy, big target. The pitchers say they like to throw to him. And he's run the count to 3-1. Swing and hammered into left center field. That'll reach the gap. That'll reach the wall. Scoring easily is Phillip Ervin, and the Reds have struck first in a 1-0 lead. Fifth RBI is a Red for Kurt Casale.
How about back-to-back doubles by hitters number 7 and 8 in the lineup? Casale working that count to 3-1, figuring he's going to get a pitch, especially with the pitcher coming up next. Not going to walk him, and he takes advantage of it. He's been a nice pickup, Casale has.
Yep, sure has.
Pitchers like throwing to him. He's a well-spoken young man.
And we've seen him with some gap-to-gap power. And Castillo most certainly bunting here. Pulls it back and looks at ball one.
Right now, the defensive Phillies are showing him as a charging first baseman. Santana, he's got a good enough arm to throw anywhere. And then Eflin, probably not all that quick coming off the mound. So you just bunt that ball hard down the third baseline, you'll get Casale over. You know, the key for any batter who wants to who won't be consistent to lay down a bunt. Here's a charge from the first baseman right here. I mean, he's coming right in hard. Is keep that bat on an angle. Keep the head of the bat higher than your hands. Because anytime you go up there and you start dropping the bat head and you keep your hands in the same spot so it's almost like it's on a hinge, that's when you're going to pop the ball up. not be able to get the bunt down. So when you get it at the angle that you want, the head slightly higher than the hands, then you get the bat down by bending your knees. You kind of keep your arms rigid.
Montana charging again, and Castillo gets it down, and nicely done. Sally moves to third base. Sacrifice goes 1-4.
Good plate coverage right there. Nice, easy motion. You know, the other terminology that coaches use a lot when it comes to sacrifice bunt is to get out there and shake hands with the baseball. And some coaches will teach you how to bunt instead of with a bat in your hand, but a glove in your hand. You just go out and you kind of just catch the ball.
Interesting. Infield in for the Phillies. First pitch to Peraza's in for a strike.
Really interesting outfield configuration. They got the infield in, as you said, right at the edge of the infield grass. But the outfield, I mean, that's about as odd as you'll see, with the left fielder way over in the gap, the right or the center fielder here, and the right fielder hugging the right field line down there.
On the ground, and this will keep Casale at third base. But the Reds are going to score more than one here in the third. It's up to Scooter Gennett. Scooter grounded out his first time up. In the air, right field, hit well. Scooter, bye-bye. th home run of the season. RBI 66 and 67. And a 3-0 Reds lead.
And Scooter has gotten so good at hitting right-handed breaking pitches. That pitch, an off-speed pitch right there. He's got 17 home runs. 11 of those home runs have come on off-speed pitches. But right-handers continue to go to the well. They try to get him out with the off-speed stuff. And boy, he is having an amazing year.
Votto, first pitch swinging and slices it the other way. Fourth hit of the inning. Double, double, home run, single. And here's Suarez. Classic Votto here. Suarez struck out swinging his first time up. RBI total up to 80 now for Suarez. Continues to lead the National League in that category. And if he were playing on a winning team, he would be mentioned a lot for MVP. Top 10 in average, 5th in home runs, 1st in RBIs. Although Votto disproved that myth, you have to be on a winning team last year, nearly winning the National League MVP. There's your RBI leaders. Suarez now 3 in front of Javier Baez coming into today's play.
Of course, one of the arguments that you might use is the Reds why they got off to such a rough start is that they missed Suarez. He was hit in the hand by a pitch, and
Yeah.
Pittsburgh early in the year missed what 16 or 17
games in April, which makes the stats even more amazing and impressive. I mean, 16 games.
Yeah.
And the aforementioned Cobra Dave Parker was the last Reds batter to lead the National League in RBIs. 1985, 125 of them. Second straight time, though, that Eflin gets Suarez. But a 3-spot by the Reds. A 3-0 lead.
And it's Hall of Fame weekend in Cooperstown, New York, and what a class it is. Jim Thome, Alan Trammell, Chipper Jones, Jack Morris, Vlad Guerrero, and Trevor Hoffman. Every class is good, but how about the names on that list being inducted this afternoon in Cooperstown? And we talked to Jim Riggleman earlier today. He's, over his years in baseball, has competed against or with most of the guys on this list, but he said one guy, Chipper Jones, haunted him as a manager, couldn't find a way to get the guy out.
Really a dynamic player throughout his career, and really what I like about him is kind of like Pete Rose. Wherever they need him to play, that's where he played.
Well, he wasn't the only manager that couldn't get Chipper Jones out, as Williams finds some green. And quite the impressive list. In fact, it's going to take a while to get through these speeches. Vladimir Guerrero, man, he didn't see it. Never saw a pitch he didn't like. He could hit it anyway. I mean, it didn't matter where you throw the pitch. He was hacking. Trevor Hoffman, the greatest closers the game's ever seen. Chipper Jones. Jack Morris finally gets in. Jim Thome, Alan Trammell, and also Bob Costas goes in today. Sheldon Ocker. Quite the day in Cooperstown with those guys.
Well, you're not kidding.
Wow.
I mean, you look at that list, it's almost like you're thinking, well, maybe they should have saved a couple of them for next year.
Yeah. Well, Jack Morris would say, listen, I've waited long enough.
Yeah. I haven't really taken a hard look at the breakdown for Vladimir Guerrero at his career with the Angels or the Expos, but it would have been nice to see him representing the Expos a little bit in that.
Be nice to go back to Montreal one day. Been rumored as such in the future if they can get a stadium deal together. Nothing like Crescent Street on a Saturday night in the summer. One-two pitch to Franco, and hold the count right there. And the Reds are off to Detroit next, and on Reds Live pregame, we'll have a feature on Jack Morris and Alan Trammell. And it's a special treat because the two sit down together, and when two guys like that swap tails, always interesting stuff. Could be two. Suarez, Gennett, Votto, and that's a double play. Around the horn it goes.
Well, hit sharply right at the fielder. That's always the first part that you want. You get a nice easy hop right there. Suarez, good feed. Gennett turns a double play, hangs right in there.
No high throw. Votto able to get it and come down on the bag. Thank you very much, says Luis. Now the first pitch to Scott Kingery. As you mentioned, Chris, the up-and-comer Scott Kingery, second-round pick by the Phillies in 2015. So he's had a fast track to get to where he is. Oh, 2.
Second round pick in 15, so you're thinking, all right, he had to come out of college, right? And he did, and a very good program at University of Arizona in Tucson. Just 24 years now. This is his first year in the major leagues. Did not get a call up last year.
Sally could not glove it, and new life again for Kingery. Here comes the 1-2. Irvin. Three-batter inning for Castillo, middle of the fourth. Reds have the lead. you by your local Ford dealer. Ford, go further. And by Cincinnati Children's, now ranked number 2 in the nation by U.S. News and World Report. Oh, some nachos. We have a special delivery to the booth, please. They probably can't hear us. This is very unfortunate. However, me crunching in your ear at home probably wouldn't be a good thing either. We'll have to wait till after the game. Mason Williams to lead off for the Reds here in the 4th. Williams, Duvall, Irvin. They scored all 3 of their runs last time up. One hopper. Handled by Cabrera, 1 out. And that'll bring up Adam Duvall.
How about a little pitching sabermetric lesson there, Jim Day?
Let's do it. I'm ready for any lesson
here
from you.
We're going to talk a little bit about whip. Maybe you've heard it from time to time.
Walks, hits, innings pitched.
Right. Walks and hits added together, divided by the number of innings pitched. Gives you an idea how many base runners a pitcher averages during 9 innings. So the lower the number, the better. And we'll show you the 2 best on each of these teams. Nola and Efren are the 2 best on the Phillies. Nola, by the way, is 12-3 record-wise, and Eflin is 7 wins against 2 losses. Matt Harvey and DeSclafani are the 2 best on the Reds so far. So you add up all the hits, you add up all the walks, and then you divide it by the number of innings pitched. And it's an indicator of how often you're pitching out of the stretch position, how many times the opposition has an opportunity to drive runs in. Sometimes earned run average and wins and losses and number of saves just don't tell the whole story. You have to add some other things, and that's why we sometimes will go to whip.
Particularly wins and losses nowadays with starting pitchers.
I mean, just look at the last couple of wins the Reds have had in this series. When after the starter went 5 innings, the win in both games, I think, has gone to the middle reliever.
Yep.
Who comes in and pitches 1 inning.
Castillo,
Peralta got one yesterday.
Yep.
And
Hernandez
the day before. So,
yep.
Those are what we call vulture wins, but they count. That's
vulture wins.
Starting pitcher union came up with that one.
Were you the president of the union at that point?
I can't remember getting too many vulture wins. Not enough to keep me around anyway.
Franco nails it. E5, that might be an EE5. As high as he delivered that one.
I mean, it's almost like Santana ran the wrong pass pattern here. I mean, Franco's expecting him to go an out pattern, and there it is. Should have been a post pattern.
Look out in the camera well. Plenty of time. Wow.
Plenty of arm.
Defense not the Phillies' forte. And they are in first place by 2.5 games in the East despite the defense. The offensive numbers really, I mean, of late, they've been a good hitting team. And you have to be a clutch hitting team if you're 58-46 on the season.
Especially after losing 96 games last year.
Yeah.
They lost 2 more games than did the Reds last season, the Phillies did. But I thought was really interesting, and it was in the Phillies notes today, that the last time the Phillies played a game here at Great American Ballpark before this series was April the 6th, 2017. So a year and a half, basically. And in the 13 players that appeared in that last game the Phillies played here, April 6, 2017, only 6 players remained on the Phillies roster. That's how much they've turned over in 1 year. So they've gone from 96 losses to being, 12 games over 500, 2 games up in the National League East. Not afraid to turn over the roster and make some moves.
And a lot of teams will turn over their roster and not have success. So they've done it in a successful manner, obviously. They have 58 wins. They didn't win their 58th game till September 16th last year. I'd say that's progress.
All right, a comparison through the 101 games
coming into the series. Threw it right by Irvin.
Yeah,
2 outs.
He gave up a double to Irvin his last time on it looked like an off-speed pitch. Could have been a slider that didn't move much, or a changeup. He doesn't throw many of those, and it seems like now, his breaking pitch is fairly inconsistent. But what is not inconsistent is that 95, 96 miles an hour. And I think one of the reasons for that breakout year for Zach Leffel this year is that he's bumped his fastball up from an average of about 93 to an average of 95, and that extra 2 miles an hour coming off the arm and the stature of a big guy 6 feet 6 inches. That ball gets on you in a hurry.
They intentionally work Kurt Casale to get to the pitcher Luis Castillo. Chopper. And the Reds will strand 2 in the 4th. But hold on to a 3-0 lead here at Great American Ballpark.
Hall of Fame weekend in Cooperstown this weekend, but as soon as they're done, several of those Hall of Famers are headed to Louisville starting on Monday for the Bluegrass World Series Classic. It's about 30 former major leaguers playing games at Slugger Field against 7 elite college and semi-pro teams from around the country, and one of the guys playing, suiting up again, former Red Corky Miller.
We got Tim Hudson, David Ross, Chipper Jones will be there on Wednesday. Some new guys, Papelbon will be there. Jason Worth, Nick Swisher, Beimel, Javi Lopez, Paul Yanish, he's going to be playing shortstop for us. Johnny Damon will be there. So I mean, it's going to be something fun to do.
All right, now check this out. So most of those big league players, including the newly enshrined Chipper Jones, obviously will wear their big league uniforms in that game. Corky Miller, Mr. Louisville, will wear his Bats jersey when he plays in that game. The coaches for that team, Johnny Bench, Doug Flynn, Ron Oster, and Tom Browning, and it benefits a number of charities, including one that supports military personnel and their families, guys.
Should be a great event. Former Red Brett Tomko was in Cleveland, and he was going on and on. He will play in it, pitch in it. And he was saying guys were taking it so seriously that he was throwing like he was in spring training to get ready for this thing.
I imagine so. I mean, I'll tell you one thing, they better have a bunch of ice on hand down there. extra trainers and, you know, some pulled hammies. And, of course, some of those guys like the ice from the inside out.
Exactly. That's where I was going next. The ice will be twofold. A little ice on the shoulder, please, and a little more in my glass, please. Thank you. Should be a lot of fun, though. Although Chippers might be interrupted by birth of a child. I understand he went first today in his induction speeches in Cooperstown because his wife is about to go into labor. In fact, they pre-recorded an induction speech in case she went into labor and he had to leave. Balancing of life and being a famous dude. Down goes F1. 6 strikeouts now for Castillo.
Really, the difference with Castillo here is something that we've been noticing and seeing really ever since he came on the scene. And when he can be efficient like this, he has only thrown 73 pitches. I mean, your confidence begins to soar. You throw even more strikes rather than picking away at the corner, missing, falling into hitters' counts. Guy starts swinging a bat and early in the count, you get a nice easy out like this.
6-pitch inning for Castillo. Middle of the 5th. Reds have the lead. The Reds home run hits the Toyota sign during today's game. Matthew Butler from Hillsboro, Ohio is going to get the brand new Tundra on display here at Great American Ballpark. Thanks to your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. Matthew Butler, good luck. Happy birthday to Gapper. In the mascot race, who else but the birthday boy Gapper reaching the tape first. Shark Week. Land Shark. Happy birthday, guys. Top of the order for the Reds here in the 5th. Peraza, Gennett, Votto trying to extend a lead that is 3-0 at the moment. One and 1 to Peraza. 0 for 2 here today is Jose. Foul out, ground out. Came in. Jose Peraza getting it done in many fashions, and if not the best bunter on the team, one of. And Brian Giesesaw has more on that.
Yeah, he's up there. We talked about this during the game last night when he got a bunt down, a sacrifice. Jim Riggleman said earlier today that That was one that wasn't called as Peraza grounds out to second. But I talked to Jose because you can tell when a guy's confident at the plate, when a guy's confident when asked to bunt. And he said that he came up with the Braves organization. That was always stressed. He's continued to work every day and works a lot with Billy Hatcher. But you can tell the guys who can do it. It's a difference maker. And Jose Peraza, yeah, maybe one of the best.
And is very good at the sneak attack, too. He will square around the bunt at the very last moment. And like you said, Brian, I agree. You can tell the guys that are confident and the ones that are not.
Right now, he is ranked right at number 4 in all of Major League Baseball with a number of bunt hits. He's got 7 of those, Peraza does. The leaderboard has Delino DeShields with 10, D. Gordon and Cesar Hernandez here are the Phillies with 8. The one behind them is Peraza.
2 outs. Peraza also with 7 sacrifice bunts. Tied for the lead in the National League.
We may not believe it, but if I ask you, Jim Day, all right, if Peraza has the most bunt hits of any Reds player, who would be number 2 on that list on the Reds team?
My first guess would be Barnhart.
That would be a very good guess. Barnhart and then Billy Hamilton. Barnhart has 4 and then Billy has 3.
Barnhart's done a nice job when they will shift. When he's a left-hand batter and they shift to the right side, and he'll just take advantage of it. I passed the quiz. If only all the quizzes in life were one question, though.
One question, an open book.
I always had the college courses where they were essay tests. It's just brutal. And on the days that I'd know that there was an actual test, how do you study for an essay test?
Same way you study for another test.
I guess so, yeah.
Cram all night long.
Payoff pitch to Votto. And that'll reach the seats out of play.
And Votto's got a base hit and a little soft tapper back to the mound. And the soft tapper came on a really good inside fastball. Eflin's been effective at throwing that ball on the first base side of home plate. He's trying to get it in there on Votto again. Now they're going to go away.
And another souvenir. You saw that youngster get a baseball. Seven pitch at bat so far. Only 70 pitches for Eflin. Both pitchers have been very efficient here this afternoon, but it's the Reds with the 3 spot in the 3rd. And Votto pulls it right through the teeth of the shift. Tell you what, we've seen him pull some balls here of late.
Well, Votto adjusts. I mean, he knows what pitchers are trying to do to him. He's probably figuring after them going outside with the last pitch, you don't want to throw the same spot to the same hitter 2 in a row. And they figured he figures they're going to come inside. And of course, I really think if Votto steps up there and he says, I want to pull this pitch, he'll do that. I'm going to hit this the other way, he can do that. I mean, he is just that disciplined and that good at the plate.
It's a thing of beauty when he does pull the ball.
Well, it usually results in a line drive.
Yeah. Suarez going the other way. But running it down is Williams. Votto base hit. A man left. 5 in the books at GABP.
Reds history, 1996. Chris Sabo breaks a bat, retrieves a new one, and then that one breaks in a game at Synergy Field against the Astros. And after the fact, Sabo suspended for 7 games, lost about 70 grand. The Reds were also fined because that bat that they retrieved turned out to be hollowed out and filled with tiny rubber balls. And Sabo will always claim that that wasn't his bat, but back in 1996, that's what happened. And Chris, the question I have for you is, what do you say at that point in the game as a broadcaster? What did you say?
I think we were laughing too hard to say anything at that point. I think I said what Sabo was going to say is, that's not my bat. And that's exactly what he did.
He said it in slightly higher pitch.
I think the same thing happened to Billy Hatcher in his big league career. We have to dig that one up too and maybe show that to you. He picked up a bat. And of course, what
was he an Astro then?
What they used to do is when they did doctor a bat up, they would normally take a pitcher's bat. Now, a pitcher's bat doesn't have the player's name on it. It would just say across where the name would normally read. It would just say Cincinnati Reds in block letters. So they'd grab one of those bats, they'd hollow it out, and then cram it full of corks or super balls or something, and you can see the holes right there. I mean, what right here is where they, you insert all those little rubber balls and pieces of cork and so on, and it has a tendency, they said, to make the bat lighter because you're replacing something heavy like wood with cork, and give it a little bit more bounce. I don't know whether it worked or not, but I remember when Ray Knight was managing this team and Joel Youngblood was one of his coaches.
Right.
We were riding on the train in Montreal from the hotel to the ballpark, and they were sitting across from me, and they were looking at me laughing over and over again. I said, "What's up?" And Ray Knight said, "Well, Joe Youngblood here is just reminding me about how he hit a home run off you in Candlestick Park with a juiced bat." I said, "You got to be kidding me." I said, "I remember that. It was a Sunday day game, and it didn't seem like he hit it at all. Next thing I know, went about 10 rows back, way beyond where Youngblood should have hit him." Well, he got the last laugh. I wish I'd known at the time.
Luis Castillo has it going on right now.
7 of them now for Castillo, and that's a changeup. And again, that's his signature pitch, the one he goes after, especially against left-handers. But the reason it's so good today is because it's over the plate. Those pitchers are down and out of the zone. But what it's teaching all of us and Castillo is that as long as it looks like it could be a strike coming out of your hand, the hitter's going to have a tendency to hack at it. If it looks like it's off the plate, it never really does you any good. And this is the big transition that Castillo has made here with Danny Darwin helping him along and throwing the ball over the plate.
He's retired 7 in a row, 10 of the last 11. And he is only 2 off of his career high in strikeouts.
I said 7, he's got 8, right?
He's got 8. The 2-1. Popped him up. 8 in a row by Castillo. Come on down to Great American Ballpark on Saturday, August 4th for the Zach Brown Band Down the Rabbit Hole Tour featuring Leon Bridges. Get your tickets today at Reds.com/Zach Brown Band. Mason Williams line drive base hit. Good way to start the 6th. And that'll bring up Adam Duvall. Eflin will now work from the stretch against the Pride of Louisville. Up and in, and a 95-mile-per-hour heater, and a swing and a miss. Ball lays off of one out of the zone, and it's 1-1. One ball, one strike. Ground ball right side, and he finds a hole on his way to third base is Williams. And the Reds in business here, first and third, and nobody out.
Now, there's Gabe Kapler, the manager of the Phillies. The only 2 innings that his starter, Zach Eflin, has had easy go of it. First and second inning, he recorded a couple of strikeouts, had 3 batters in each inning. Every other inning, the Reds have had at least 1 base runner. Here they start the 6th with 2 on and nobody out.
They gave Duvall the right side of the infield, and he took advantage of it. Normally a dead pull hitter shoots one the other way, and we'll see what Phillip Ervin can do here. Action for the Phillies in their pen. It's Victor Arano. And he's a right-hander. (1-0) in on the hands and evens the count at 1-1.
Tried to come down and in on that pitch to Phillip Ervin right there. You know, most pitchers will throw a 4-seam fastball and a 2-seamer. The 2-seamer is the one you want to throw right here. Down and into a right-hander, have him roll over on it, get a ground ball to third base. He actually wanted Ervin to hit that ball, not swing and miss it. Try it again.
Eflin ahead in the count, 1 ball, 2 strikes. And a long look in. Now he's ready. Hammered left field. And at the track. Boy, that ball looked and sounded good off the bat. But as you talked about earlier, ball just not carrying. But tagging up and scoring from third is Mason Williams in a 4-0 Reds lead.
Well, he'll take it. Get a run in right there. Pick up a run batted in. And again, look, Eflin trying to get that ball in and down on Irvin. That time he got it about belt high. Irvin did a nice job getting that ball into the air.
Phillip thought he had one. I thought he had one. You can score that in E10 on the announcer. And that's going to do it for Zach Eflin. It's our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen. For the 4th annual Sand Volleyball Classic on August 11th. Co-ed teams of 6 are welcome to compete for a great cause. Register today at bgcgc.com/events. That's bgcgc.com/events. New pitchers Victor Arano. Casale first pitch swinging, and this is trouble. 6-4-3, 1 pitch, and that'll take care of that. But the Reds add a run, have a 4-0 lead. Castillo has it going on today. 6 innings of scoreless baseball. He's retired 8 in a row at this point. 11 of the last 12. 8 strikeouts. And he's gotten some offensive support in the third. It was a 3-spot. Kurt Casale, part of back-to-back doubles. Irvin, Casale drives him in. And then Scooter Gennett, home run number 17 of the season, a 2-run shot. It's added a run in the 6th, sacrifice fly RBI Irvin. And it's 4-0 Cincinnati. Top of the 7th. And Castillo will go to work against Nick Williams.
Castillo has been very efficient with his pitches. 87 here. Here he is in the top of the 7th inning. And really it all comes from attacking the strike zone. Very few wasted pitches, especially the left-handed hitters that are just kind of going off to the third base side of home plate, don't mean much. Love that pitch right there, because you come up underneath the elbows of a hitter, lefty like that, and then you can go right back down outside with a fastball or a changeup. I mean, just to think that this Reds ball club, if they're able to pull off this win today, they will have won their 8th series in the last 11 that they've played. They're 7-3-1 right now.
The 2-2. 9 of them now for Castillo. 9 straight retired.
Now, you know, cambio is change in Spanish. And there's cambio, and then there's a cambioso. That's the cambioso. I mean, I'll tell you, if I'm running the pitching pitching in any big league organization, I'm just pounding into the head of every minor league pitcher the importance of throwing a changeup, because you completely neutralize the opposite hitting hitter. For instance, if you're a right-handed pitcher, you neutralize lefties. And most guys come up, you know, fastball, slider, fastball, curve, and then they're always looking for that off-speed pitch to get the opposite hand hitter out. And that's where the changeup comes in. And it's funny how the young pitchers that we see, Jim, who come to the major leagues who have the changeup, it's usually something they've learned a long time ago. And it's their second pitch already. Then they come up with a breaking ball like a slider or a curve ball.
I could not agree with you more. And if I have Mario Soto in the organization, which the Reds do, I would make it mandatory that when players are signed, and whether they go to Greenville or Billings, you have to go through Mario Soto changeup school just to see if you can throw it.
Well, part of that is watching Mario Soto video.
Yeah.
Because you have to believe that the pitch is going to work for you. I've seen very few pitchers who, if they really work at it, it's not a pitch that you learn overnight. You certainly can't learn it in the bullpen, then use it in the game that day. And sometimes it takes years before you finally get the feel of it. But, I mean, man, oh man, it's the pitch that you can get a lot of easy outs on. Show you what it looks like coming right out of the hand. There's the grip down here, and it's you basically in pitching you have 2 power fingers, your index finger and your middle finger. So you change up grip is you take one of the power fingers off the baseball, put it on the side of the baseball. So not everybody's circle change grip looks the same. That's where the, you know, how it feels in your hand, the size of your hand, your release point and so on all dictates where it feels good. But the idea is just to take the speed off to keep the arm speed.
Votto makes the play. 2 outs. Ten in a row. Tired by Castillo.
I want to give a little shout out and congratulations because I met some people here from Wheelersburg. Down old Gene Bennett's part of the country down there and along the Ohio River. And I'd heard that the 12U Wheelersburg Little League softball team is going to represent the state of Ohio and the Central Region at the Little League Softball World Series in Portland, Oregon. So congratulations, ladies, and good luck to you.
Absolutely. Franco made Castillo work a little bit. 100 pitches now for Castillo. Check out our StatCast AI powered by AWS.
Yeah, he likes to pull that ball definitely on the left side there.
Castillo in the driver's seat here. No balls and 2 strikes. Grounded left side. Peraza. And another 1, 2, 3 inning for Luis Castillo. 11 in a row. Retired. La Piedra getting it done. And on this Sunday afternoon, we shall pause right now and honor our country with the singing of God Bless America.
Kindly remove your hats and face the American flag. Major League Baseball, the Reds and the Phillies salute the men and women of our armed forces as well as those who serve to protect in our local police and fire departments. At this time, please help us honor these brave men and women and all our veterans of service, and welcome Rose Christoffel and Cora Inderhees as they lead us in the singing of God Bless America.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
As part of the Ohio Lottery post-game concert series, chart-topping country singer Jake Owen will be performing a live concert from the field on Saturday, August 11th. Everyone with a ticket to the Reds game will have a chance to enjoy the show from one of country music's hottest acts. Purchase your tickets now at Reds.com. Bottom of the 7th, and the day is done for Luis Castillo. Doing a nice round of applause right now is Billy Hamilton. He'll be the pinch hitter here. For the Reds, it'll be Hamilton, Peraza, and Gennett. Reds will try to add to a 4-0 lead, and a terrific start for Luis Castillo. 7 innings of scoreless baseball. And all smiles, and why not? Hamilton line drive, base hit right field. Here we go. So we'll see if Billy is off and running here. And Arano is going to keep him as close as he can. Oh, and 1 to Peraza. And another Chris Welsh throw over.
Don't even mention my name till he gets up around 15.
I know.
And even then he's going to be short.
We mention it a lot, but it's just one of the greatest all-time tails ever.
Oh,
actually, it's not a tail. It happened.
It really wasn't very much fun for me because Vince Coleman stole second base anyway. And the home crowd, that was my first ever game pitching as a Red for the Reds at Riverfront against the Cardinals. My home crowd, including my family and friends, were booing the heck out of me. Let's go. The only people who were cheering were the concessionaires.
Oh, beautiful.
To this day, Tracy Jones doesn't let me forget that.
Nor do we.
Of course, it was George Grant who was at ESPN back in those days, and he took the video of it and he sped it up and played it, you know, like the Keystone Cops movie, really fast, all 17 of them in a row.
A little fast piano music in the background, maybe. 4 throws over. Only has what, 13 to go. Tie you. One out.
I think that combination, I probably should have said it during the at-bat, but I really think that combination of Peraza at the plate and Hamilton at first base, and we see Hamilton batting 9th a lot, so we see that, you know, with nobody out. For me, it screams if Billy's not going to steal, and he doesn't seem to be as aggressive on the base paths this year, it screams for a possible hit and run. Peraza is one of the best contact guys on the ball club, likes to hit the ball to right field. And you take a lot of pressure off the hitter sometimes when you put that hit and run on. Now, Peraza's had a good year, but recently, you know, I mean, he's maybe not in one of those grooves where everything's falling in for him.
Didn't like to feel that baseball. A liberal strike call. Into right field, a base hit. Hamilton on his horses to third, and it's first and third. One out. The classic seeing eye single. And Hamilton might have helped a little bit, trying to screen out the defender and get out of the way.
I'll tell you, these guys the Reds have in middle of their order 2, 3, and 4. Gennett, Votto, and Suarez. I mean, this is a tough trio to work through. Gennett's got a couple of hits, including a 2-run home run. Votto's got a couple of hits, one to left, one to right. And now he's got a chance to play a little add-on here.
Back-to-back hits for Votto, and boy, it would be nice to see him get in one of those Votto tears. And over an extended period of time, we've yet to see it this season. Although continues to lead the league in on-base percentage.
And he's got a batting average up to 290 now. I mean,
Yep.
it was hovering down there around 280, which is surprising ever to see.
Well, that's how good he is. I mean,
Yeah.
we're talking about 290 being disappointed
Yeah.
with.
Still about 40 points higher than the league average.
Right. Will Hamilton test it? He will not. So the Reds missing an opportunity there, and it's going to be up to Suarez.
Well, that's about as close to an infield pop-up as you're going to see Joey Votto hit. One of my favorite stats on Votto really is the number of pop-ups he's hit that have been caught by infielders in the last. I mean, he usually averages about 1 per year.
Crazy. All right, here's Suarez. Couple of strikeouts and a line out. And Suarez average, despite hitting home runs in 5 consecutive games, is now dipped below 300. Had it up to 315 at one point, did Suarez.
I love his comments after he hit that home run for the 5th day in a row. He said, you know, I never try to hit home runs. He goes, once I start trying, my swing will change. I'll get into bad habits, pull off the ball.
In fact, he had that average up to 317, I should say, at one point.
He's chased a few pitches off the plate here today, though. First 2 strikeouts came on outside fastballs.
1-2, there goes Gennett. And Scooter tried to hold up to draw a throw with Hamilton on third base, and Alfaro was having no part of it.
They were trying to do the old first third double stolen base deal. And it's a favorite play of just about every high school coach in America. I mean, but the whole thing right there was to fake a throw to second, maybe get Billy Hamilton to fall into a trap and come off third base, but there's no third baseman there. So Franco was spectating.
Strike three call. Right at the top of the zone. Third time that Suarez has struck out this afternoon, but the Reds will take a 4-0 lead to the 8th.
Kick things off, presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. Myself, Jeff Pecoro, a cast of thousands. Be sure and join us for that. And the Reds' next pregame won't come until Tuesday night as the Reds move on back to interleague baseball. They'll be at Comerica Park in Detroit. Homer Bailey tries to follow up his last start with another, and at that point we'll be past the trade deadline and all of that. So join us on the pregame show for the very latest before the Reds take on the Tigers.
And the Reds have been very good in interleague play so far this season. Hamilton stays in the game. He's in center. Mason Williams moves from center field to right field. And the new pitcher on the hill is David Hernandez.
Mr. Dependable.
And here on Friday night, it might have been his best outing as a Red. He was terrific. 2 1/3, no hits, no runs, struck out 2.
Jim Riggleman certainly thought so.
He did.
Said that after the ball game.
Jim Riggleman has a lot of praise for his bullpen, does he not, Brian Giesen-Sloan?
You know, he does, and like most managers, he'd like to not use them as much as he's had to, especially in this series. But when he's gone to those guys, specifically Hernandez and Hughes, who seemingly pitch every day in some form or fashion for the Reds, they've responded. And the thing about Hernandez and Hughes is each of them, I think they've gone each 12 and 13 times, multiple innings. And Riggleman was asked about that today, and he said, look, you don't want to overwork a bullpen, but we've really lowered the bar in baseball in terms of our expectations of what guys can do. So you don't do it every night. You try not to do it all season long, but he believes that Hughes, Hernandez, Iglesias can throw multiple innings, stay healthy, stay strong, and continue to be effective.
Well, let's hope so, as this one is a fair ball off the bat out of Cesar Hernandez, the pinch hitter. And that'll rattle around, and if Hernandez was paying attention, he might have had third base.
Well, he's got to pay attention to his third base coach because that ball's way back in the right field corner. So unless he makes his decision to go to third base at the time he's about halfway to second, all along there, Dusty Wathan is kind of holding him up. I mean, they're down 4 runs, so that doesn't mean a whole lot to him. Right down the first base line, nobody there.
And back to the top of the order here, and Carlos Santana. It was Andrew Knapp who pinch hit to lead off this inning, strikeout. Hernandez and now Santana. One ball, one strike. One strike away from strikeout number 11. And how about a little pizza? And we'd appreciate a delivery to the booth. Thank you very much. 2 outs.
Little two-seam fastball running away from the hitter, but what you fail to realize, I think, well, if you haven't really seen David Hernandez pitch very much before this year, that at one time Hernandez is one of the harder throwers around. Came up as a starter with the Baltimore Orioles, then when he got traded over and got put in the bullpen in Arizona, like back in 2012 or so, he was averaging over 95 miles per hour on his fastball. And with the way they measured the speed back in those days, 95 was really at the top end, except, for a guy like Aroldis Chapman. So he was up there among the elite as far as bullpen velocity goes. Now he's figured out a lot of different ways to get the job done.
Well, Danny Darwin said it 1,000 times. This is a game of adjustments, whether it be pitch to pitch, at bat to a bat, season to season, injury to injury. And Hernandez has been able to hang around the game, and no one hung around many longer than Danny Darwin.
I was going to say he's got the track record to show you what adapting can do for you, pitching until he was over 40 years old.
Swing and a miss. A double, but 3 strikeouts in the inning. David Hernandez.
Joel getting a set right now, presented by Performance Kings Honda. Follows the game here today at Great American Ballpark. One of the most raucous post-game crowds we've had all season at the set last night. That, of course, had something to do with the Walk the Moon concert, but we'll get it going again. We'll have the crowd there as soon as we wrap things up here on the field, and the Reds and Phils finish off the 4th and final game of this series.
Looking forward to it. Andrew Knapp stays in the game. He's behind the plate. On the mound is the righty Luis Garcia. And Cesar Hernandez also stays into the game. He's at second. Mason Williams, the dribbler. And with Hernandez playing in short right field, he had no chance. Infield base hit.
Well, he's got good speed, and as Jim Riggleman had wanted to get that left-hander up here to replace Jesse Winker. The dimension of speed just gives you a little bit something extra. Picks up his second hit of the game.
And here's Duvall.
That's 10 hits for this Reds ball club.
Yep. No runs, 5 hits, 1 error for the Phillies. They've left 5, 4 runs, 10 hits, no errors. For the Reds, they've left 6. Pitcher spot due up next. Brandon Dixon in the on-deck circle. Garcia in the driver's seat here. No balls and 2 strikes.
Interesting story about Garcia. Originally signed as a teenager by the Los Angeles Dodgers and played in their low minor league system, played in the Dominican Summer League for a couple of years and remained in their organization until he was traded in 2009 to the Nationals. And he was still down in the minor leagues there. Inconsistent, had a few saves, really nothing that really stood out. And then he eventually got released. So he went to pitch for the Newark Bears, an independent league team in the Can-Am League, and basically figured at that point his career was going to be over. He was in New Jersey. He was going to become a barber. He worked for a moving company. You know, his only baseball-related stuff was teaching some kids some pickup games. And the Phillies international scout, his name was Sal Agostinelli, heard about him, went to see him throw, and he saw he was throwing 94 miles an hour with a good slider. So he said, well, maybe we can get you an invite to spring training, and that's what happened. Worked his way up through the system, and here he is in the major leagues. They called him up from the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs.
Love that name.
Lehigh Valley?
That too. But that's a that'll do it for Hernandez, and there goes Williams, and a liner foul by Dixon. David Hernandez, an inning, hit, 3 strikeouts. And right now, lefty Wandy Peralta warming up in the Reds bullpen. And looking ahead to the 9th for the Phillies, Herrera, Hoskins, Williams, 3, 4, and 5. Time called. Check swing. Did he check it in time? He did. Two one. 3 balls and a strike. And would add some giddy up at 99. There goes Williams. Swing and a miss. Throw down to second offline.
Tough pitch to throw a runner out right there. First thing you've got to do is scoop and then throw.
First steal is a red for Mason Williams.
He's been in the big leagues each of the last few years. Cup of coffee, albeit, for the New York Yankees.
Three balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. Reds trying to add to a 4-0 lead. Down goes Dixon.
I want to do a little shout out, Jim Day. You never know who's watching and where they're watching Reds baseball. But our good friend Brian Abrams, we see him down there at fantasy camp and in spring training in Phoenix. He is watching us today from Nizhny Tagil, Russia. Way up there near, I think, the Asia-Russia border.
Wow.
Yeah. So Brian, how you doing? He tells me that where he is really not too far from where Gary Powers and his U-2 spy plane was shot down. There's your trivia note of the day.
Russia. Castillo straightens it out. It's a goner, but just a long strike, says the Pitchers Association. No balls and 2 strikes. Check swing and a foul ball. Got a lot of organ today. I'm digging it.
A lot of organ before the ball game.
Yeah, on Sundays and Sunday mornings,
it's either the Beatles or all organ.
Yeah. Much better than what they serve up at Dodger Stadium, much to one announcer's chagrin. Won't mention any names. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Casale. Casale has worked the count full. And a walk. First and second for Billy Hamilton. There's only the second walk surrendered by Phillies pitching, and the other one was to Casale, but it was an intentional walk. Only 3 walks overall in this game. Line drive base hit, and Hamilton's only plate appearance here this afternoon. And here comes Gabe Kapler, and we're going to have a pitching change. 2 outs into the bottom of the 8th. That'll be it for Luis Garcia. Kapler trying to hold it at a 4-0 game. We'll reset the situation on the other side. Two outs, Gabe Kapler makes the move, and he brings in the righty Jake Thompson to face Billy Hamilton.
Now, Thompson, a young guy, is only 24 years old, but he's on his 3rd organization. Originally drafted by the Tigers, traded to the Texas Rangers, and then by the Rangers to the Phillies in a deal that sent Cole Hamels the other way out to Texas, of course, who just was traded to the Cubs.
We saw Thompson work in games 1 and 2 of this series. An inning of scoreless baseball on Thursday, and pitched 2 innings, gave up a run Friday night. No balls and 2 strikes. shot the other way, but coming in to get it is Hoskins. Got a good jump. Red Strand 2. And we'll head to the ninth. 4-0 Redlegs. Minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by Toyota, for over 30 offers. Visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. 4-0 score. Reds bidding for a series victory over the Phillies, and they'll give the ball to Wandy Peralta to start the ninth.
Well, the Reds hope that the little stint that Peralta did down in the minor leagues will get his head on right and get him to understand the importance of throwing the ball over the plate, because right now you see the big problem for Peralta has been the number of walks that he's given up here and the number of innings he's pitched.
We had a good return to the mound yesterday, an inning and a third, 1 hit, no walks and a strikeout. And he looked like the Peralta of old. One outing does not a season make, but he looked pretty good. And if you can match him with Garrett, if it's the Peralta of old and Garrett, you're in business with a couple of lefties down there. You've seen Hernandez and Hughes have success, and then you got the hammer at the back end of the bullpen and Iglesias. He could really, really add nicely to the mix.
I mean, really, if you were to predict at the very beginning of the year, if one of those two left-handers was going to struggle, which one would it be? And everybody would say it would probably be Amir Garrett based on his experience and what Peralta did last year.
Going to be a tough play. Infield base hit, Herrera.
Well, I don't know how he did this. Two-hit game.
And the batter's Rhys Hoskins. Peralta ahead in the count, no balls and a strike. One and one. Two balls and two strikes.
Hoskins not real happy with that home plate strike zone here of Nick Marley. Second time in a couple of at-bats, he thinks that pitch is either down or inside. It looked like a quality pitch by Peralta. Count even out 2-2.
Been a lot of look backs at Nick Marley here today. Full count. You don't want to give these Phillies life. It's a big pitch.
Now, it can be a fast strike offense. I mean, remember, they did hit 7 home runs here on Thursday.
Waited back and got a piece to foul it back. And we'll do the 3-2 again. And we'll do it yet again.
Pretty good swing right there from Hoskins. I mean, he develops a lot of bat speed. Young guy that came on the scene, as I said earlier, just in August of last year and just lit up just about everybody he saw. He's ready to hit the high pitch. Look how he just kind of lays his bat back flat right there. Almost already on plane.
8th pitch of the at-bat, and it's in the air. Center field. Billy. One out. And a big out. And the batter will be Nick Williams. Williams 1 for 3 here this afternoon. A couple of strikeouts and a single. Oh, and 1. In on the hands, a blooper, and that's going to find some grass.
Now, 2 very unlucky hits there for Peralta. They made great pitches to Herrera, gets a little bouncer in front of the third base bag, and that little jam shot by Williams.
And Jim Briggleman is on his way to the mound. Marcell Iglesias has been warming up. And Briggleman is not going to mess around. He's going to bring him into this game. Marcell will get the ball when we come back. 2 on and 1 out. Jim Riggleman calls on his closer, Raisel Iglesias, to try to protect the lead and shut this bad boy down. And the batter's Mikel Franco. Opponent's hitting just 189 off of Iglesias. He's converted 20 of 23 save opportunities. And it's the 12th time this season that Iglesias has entered a game with runners on base. Hitters count 2-0, 3-0. Never easy sometimes. Needed a strike and got it. Franco didn't like it a bit. And a lot of yapping going on at Nick Marley. Three-one pitch. Swing and a miss.
Looks like he was thinking about the 3-0 pitch while swinging at the 3-1 pitch.
Shakes off Casale. Now he has what he wants. Payoff pitch. Punched foul. Ground ball through the hole into right field. They're going to hold up the runner at third and don't look now. But the tying run will come to the plate.
Now, this is the kind of situation Jim Riggleman was trying to manage his way out of. That is to try to get the Reds one more run to keep them from being in slam range, but that's the case right now.
And the batter will be Scott Kingery.
Who his last time up hit a ground ball to shortstop. Reds would take one of those right now.
Kingery faced Iglesias on Friday night and gave up a single. Two balls and no strikes. The 2-0. Strike called. Two one. 2-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. Bases juiced. Count holds at 2-2. Tried to get him to chase, but another full count and nowhere to put Kingery.
What do you do here? You take your best pitch, you take a little bit off, and you throw it for a strike. Kind of veteran move right there by Kingery, just a young player. First year for him, calls timeout to make sure that he gets set in the box right.
Payoff pitch, swing and a miss.
Now that best pitch is the slider, and he put it on a really good spot. Looked like he took a little bit off of it also.
.85 on the gun, painted the outside corner.
Biggest pitch of this ball game so far.
And still work to be done. The batter is Andrew Knapp. The switch hitter will bat from the left-hand side. Swung out of his helmet trying to tie the game up. Oh, 1. 1-1. Phillies down to their final strike. Now the crowd to their feet. One-two pitch. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. And the Reds have won their 3rd straight over the Phillies as they take the 4-game set. And it's the first 4-game series win versus the Phillies since 1997. And they do it in shutout fashion. 4-0 your final score. We'll be back in a moment.